Imagine this. You wake up not to the gentle curve of the Earth's horizon, but to an impossibly vast ribbon stretching up into the sky. This ribbon, this arch, is your world. It climbs so high that the other side, millions of kilometers away, is just a faint silvery line lost in the heavens. You grab your morning coffee and step outside. The air is fresh, the manufactured sunlight is warm, and the ground beneath your feet is perfectly reassuringly flat for as far as you can see. You are standing on the inside of a colossal ring, a world built around its star. This isn't a planet. It's something much, much bigger. You decide to go for a walk. To your left, a mountain range, carefully sculpted and placed, scrapes against the towering sky walls that hold in your atmosphere. These walls are 1,000 kilometers high, colossal barriers of unimaginable strength. To your right, a vast, engineered river flows towards an inland sea the size of a continent back on old Earth. Looking straight up, you don't see a single point of light for a sun. Instead, you see a collection of giant, square plates floating in perfect formation. These are the shadow squares, which create the illusion of night and day by periodically blocking the sunlight from the star at the center of your ring. The sheer scale is hard for your human brain to compute, even after living here your whole life. The total surface area of this single structure is about 3 million times the surface of the Earth. You could fit every person who has ever lived on this ring and still have room for trillions more, each with their own sprawling estate. It's a world of boundless territory, a testament to an engineering prowess that borders on the divine. You sip your coffee and stare up at the arch, a tiny speck on an artificial world of truly astronomical proportions. It's a good day to be alive on the Ringworld. But is this magnificent vision just a fever dream of science fiction? Or could we, the clever apes from planet Earth, ever build such a thing? The journey from a sci-fi novel to a real-life blueprint is a long and winding one, littered with some of the biggest scientific and engineering puzzles you could possibly imagine. So, where did this bonkers idea come from? For that, we have to thank the brilliant mind of science fiction author Larry Niven. Back in 1970, he published a novel called Ringworld, and in doing so, he gave a name and a shape to one of the most iconic megastructures in all of fiction. In simple terms, a ringworld is a gigantic artificial ring built in orbit around a star. Think of it like a wedding band, but instead of being on a finger, it's circling a sun. The ring would be incredibly wide and would spin at a terrific speed. Why the spin? Well, that's the clever bit. The rotation creates a centrifugal force that pushes everything on the inner surface outwards. This force acts as a substitute for gravity, pinning you, the air, the oceans, and the mountains to the floor. Right, let's get our rulers out and try to measure this beast. To really get a handle on the Ringworld, you need to recalibrate your sense of big. Niven's original Ringworld was designed to orbit a star similar to our own sun. To do that and be in the habitable zone, the ring would need to have a radius of about 150 million kilometers. The circumference of a circle is calculated by the formula 2pi times the radius. So you take that 150 million kilometer radius and do the maths. You end up with a circumference of roughly 942 million kilometers. Let that sink in. If you were to drive a car along this ring at a steady 100 kilometers per hour without ever stopping for petrol or a toilet break, it would take you more than 1,000 years to get all the way around. And it's not just long, it's also wide. Niven's Ringworld was about 1.6 million kilometers wide. That's more than 100 times the diameter of the Earth. When you combine that width with its immense circumference, you get the total surface area. And that's where the numbers get truly silly. The inner, habitable surface of the Ringworld would be about 1.5 quadrillion square kilometers. That's the equivalent of 3 million Earth-sized planets. So you've decided to build a Ringworld. Fantastic. First things first, you'll need to pop down to the cosmic hardware store and pick up a few supplies. Your shopping list is going to be, shall we say, extensive. In fact, you're going to need more material than exists in our entire solar system, with the possible exception of the sun itself. The total mass of Niven's Ringworld was estimated to be around 2 times 10 to the 27th kilograms. That's about 300 times the mass of the Earth, or roughly the same mass as the planet Jupiter. Now, where do you get that much stuff? You can't just mine it from Earth. If you took our entire planet, crust, mantle, core, everything, and flattened it out, you wouldn't even have enough material to make a small fraction of the ring. So you'd have to become a solar system-wide demolition crew. You would need to dismantle entire planets. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune would be your primary targets. You'd have to break them down, sort their elements, and transport all that matter to your cosmic construction site. The material itself needs to be something special. You can't just build this out of steel or titanium. The tensile strength required to hold a spinning ring of this size together is simply off the charts. In his novel, Niven invented a fictional substance called skrith. He described it as having a translucent, metallic gray appearance and a tensile strength on par with the strong nuclear force, the very force that holds atomic nuclei together. In other words, it's a magic material. We have absolutely nothing like it. One of the most elegant ideas behind the Ringworld is using spin to create artificial gravity. The principle is solid: spin an object, and the centrifugal force pushes everything inside it outwards. However, this solution creates its own peculiar set of problems. While the floor of the Ringworld has gravity, the structure itself does not. So how do you stop all your air from just puffing out into space? Niven's solution was the sky walls. Then there's the problem of orbital stability. A planet orbiting a star is gravitationally stable. If it gets nudged slightly out of its orbit, the star's gravity will tend to pull it back into a stable path. A Ringworld, however, is not. It's a rigid structure. The star pulls on all parts of the ring, but if one part gets slightly closer, the gravitational pull on that part becomes stronger. Instead of correcting the drift, this imbalance actually makes it worse, pulling that side even closer. Larry Niven himself didn't realize this flaw in his original novel. It was pointed out to him by clever readers after the book was published. His solution was to add a series of enormous rocket engines, or attitude jets, to the outside of the ring. Right now, building a Ringworld is firmly in the impossible category. We lack the materials, the energy, the manufacturing capability, and frankly, the organizational skills to even begin. But humanity is a clever bunch, and we're always inventing new things. The answer might lie in advanced artificial intelligence and self-replicating robotics. You could design a single master factory, a von Neumann probe, that you send to an asteroid belt or a gas giant's moon. Its job would be to mine resources to build perfect copies of itself. So after all this, we come back to our original question. Is the Ringworld a sci-fi megastructure that will forever remain a dream? Or is it a genuinely possible, if mind-bogglingly difficult, future for humanity? The honest answer, with the science we have today, is that it sits squarely on the impossible side of the line. But impossible is a very strong word. Throughout history, things that were considered impossible have become commonplace. Perhaps the true value of the Ringworld concept isn't as a literal blueprint for future construction. Its value lies in its ability to inspire us to think big. So, is it an impossible dream? For us today, yes. But for our descendants, thousands or even millions of years from now? Well, they might just be taking their own morning strolls on the arch, sipping their coffee, and wondering what impossible dreams they should tackle next.